Aloha, everyone, and welcome back to the program. Now, while the last couple of videos haven't gotten the traction I hoped that they would, I'm focused on the future. But only 6 views on a Zeppelin video? You guys all right? Doing okay? Now, by now, you know that I'm a freaking mess up here and everything, but really, that's something for my therapist and druggist to figure out, right? So in the meantime, please like, share, comment, and subscribe because we got Peter Green and Fool No More.
Yes, I've packed up my clothes. I'm moving away from your door. Lord, I packed up my clothes. Said I'm moving away from your door. I've been your fool for so long. Babe, I won't play that fool no more. I gave you all my money. I work as hard as I can. I came home early one morning. I found you with another man. And babe, I packed up my clothes. And I'm moving away from your door. I said I've been your fool for so long. Hey Lord, I won't play that fool no more. So goodbye, baby. You don't even care. Yes, I had a love so strong for you, but you treat me so unfair. Said I packed up my clothes, I'm moving away from the door. I've been your fool for so long. And babe, I won't play that fool no more.
As Mick Fleetwood points out, Peter Green was the founder and leader of the original Fleetwood Mac. Green also wrote a number of great tunes, including Black Magic Woman and, for years, what I always thought was a Judas Priest song. That being, of course, the Green Manalishi with the two-pronged crown. And to be honest, in my head, I still hear it sung in Rob Halford's heavy metal falsetto, and I probably always will. And according to B.B. King, Peter Green had the sweetest tone he ever heard and was the only one who ever gave him the cold sweats. And that is high praise indeed. Born Peter Allen Greenbaum in London, England on October 29, 1946, Peter Green began playing guitar at age 11 and began playing professionally at age 15. He started off on bass, but by 1965, he was playing lead guitar in Peter B's Lunars. This is also where he met drummer Mick Fleetwood. And yes, I still love these early band names. They were something special. And in 1966, Green and a few of the other former Lunars formed a Motown-style soul band called the Shotgun Express, which also featured Rod Stewart on vocals. Green left after a few months, as he tended to do, and ended up replacing Eric Clapton in John Mayall's Bluesbreakers, which, of course, you already know about. And he also made his recording debut on the album A Hard Road. That was in 1967. That album also featured two of Green's original songs. Now, feeling the band was moving away from the blues, Green left again to form now Fleetwood Mac. And Fleetwood Mac began as a classic blues outfit, but Green's growth as a songwriter really began pushing the band's repertoire almost immediately. And by 1969, changes in Green's personality were really starting to show. Green wrote the song Man of the World, which was released as a single in various countries around the world and appeared on the band's Greatest Hits LP in 1971. And it was also a first clue for many of the band members that something might be wrong with Peter. Now, of course, at the time, no one in the band was really in a position to help or even recognize the symptoms. Later on, it became much more obvious. The song begins, "Should I tell you about my life? They say I'm a man of the world. I've flown across every tide, and I've seen lots of pretty girls." It ends, "I could tell you about my life and keep you amused, I'm sure, about all the times I've cried and how I don't want to be sad anymore and how I wish I was in love." And about those lyrics, Mick Fleetwood said, "It's a very prophetic song. When he made those songs, we had no idea that he was suffering internally as much as he was. But if you listen to the words, it's crucifyingly obvious what was going on." And Peter Green began taking large doses of LSD. He grew a beard. He was wearing robes and things. And Fleetwood recalls Green becoming really concerned about accumulating wealth. And Peter really became obsessed about not making money and about not just himself, but the band in general, just about giving their money away. It was a real sudden change in character. And while on tour in Europe in March 1970, Green took LSD at a party at a commune near Munich. And according to their manager, Clifford Davis, this was a crucial point in Peter Green's mental decline. Now, as the story goes, Green went to a party with a roadie by the name of Dennis Keane. Keane returned without Peter Green, saying that Green would not leave the commune. He wanted to stay. So Mick Fleetwood, Keane, and another roadie went to the commune to bring Peter Green back. Green, however, tells a completely different story, that he just went to a party and was part of just a really cool jam session. In fact, later he told his friend and former band member, Jeremy Spencer, he said, "I had a good play there. It was great. Someone recorded it. They gave me a tape. There were people playing along and a few of us were just fooling around. That's the most spiritual music I had ever recorded in my entire life." Again, two very different experiences. And after a final performance on May 20th, 1970, Peter Green left Fleetwood Mac. And during the 1970s, Green performed periodically. On June 27th, 1970, Green performed at the Bath Festival of the Blues and Progressive Music with John Mayall, Rod Mayall, Rich Gretsch, and Ansley Dunbar. That same year, Reprise Records released the session as The End of the Game. That was Green's first post Fleetwood Mac solo album. And in 71, he did have a brief reunion with Fleetwood Mac, actually helping them complete their U.S. tour, substituting for guitarist Jeremy Spencer, who actually left the band while they were on tour. Peter Green performing under the pseudonym Peter Blue. I don't think any really fooled anybody with that name change. He also recorded his first solo single, Heavy Heart, that was released in June of that year. And he was credited on the album B.B. King in London, also in 1971. He did, in 1973, he made an uncredited appearance on Fleetwood Mac's Penguin LP on the song Night Watch. But eventually, Peter Green was diagnosed with schizophrenia and spent time in a number of psychiatric hospitals undergoing electroconvulsive therapy. Again, this was in the mid-1970s. And apparently, the treatments were It seems almost as bad as the disease itself, oftentimes leaving him really like in a trance-like state. But by 1979, he did start to reemerge professionally. He produced a string of solo albums starting in 79 with the album In the Skies. He was also he also made an uncredited appearance on Fleetwood Mac's double album Tusk on the song Brown Eyes, which was released that same year, and which I recently found out about, and I think is very, very cool. He continued solo projects and worked with friends throughout the 1980s. And in 1997, he formed the band the Peter Green Splinter Group with the help of Nigel Watson and Cozy Powell, and released 9 blues albums. That lasted until 2004. He moved to Sweden for a bit. And then in 2009, he formed Peter Green and Friends. And while he did get better, Peter Green's disease, I guess, never fully went away. And in fact, in a 1996 interview, he said that, "I still hear voices in my head." He says, "It's only one voice, a woman I met in the hospital. There are some scary people there, and she is pretty heavy, but I haven't heard her for a bit." So here he is, maybe 20 years after starting his treatments, and he's still hearing voices. At least one voice from a woman he says he met in the hospital. That's some crazy shit, man. And in 1998, Peter Green joined fellow inductees Santana and Fleetwood Mac at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony, where he agreed to play Black Magic Woman. Now, he didn't play a solo, saying that to do so would be to kind of retread on some old territory. And actually, on a couple of occurrences during the song, he turned his guitar volume down, making it almost impossible to hear his instrument. Again, he was better, but I think the disease was still there. And on July 25th, 2020, Peter Green died in his sleep. He influenced a legion of guitar players who followed and won the respect of his contemporaries. Many who were more famous, few who were as good as he was. Anyway, I do hope that you enjoyed the song and that quick look into Peter Green's life. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time, my friends. Y'all take care, all right?